So we just reached the end of the 22-mile navigable Ashby Canal at Snarestone in Leicestershire in our narrowboat home. But the canal actually went on for a little over 8 more miles to its original terminus at Overseal. But why was the last third of the canal lost to time? Today I'll explain why. So this is the Ashby Canal in Leicestershire, England. The date of the act was 1794 and it wasn't completed until 1804. The principal engineer was Robert Whitworth. Also helping out was Benjamin Outrun. Now at its original length it was about 31 miles long. Now at the moment it's only 22 miles, thanks to the last section being abandoned. The Ashby Canal came off of the Coventry Canal, had a junction at Marston near Bedworth. It then made its way through Hinckley and on its way to its terminus, which was at Overseal. The section we'll be focusing on today is the last remaining 8 miles. So we'll start today's walk at Snarestone, making our way along to Measham, about 1.5 miles, head through Measham, on our way to Oakthorpe, and then around a big contour area before we get to the isolated navigable section, which is about 1 mile long at Moira. We'll check out some of the sights to see there before we make our way to Overseal, to the official terminus of the canal. This section of the Ashby Canal is not actually owned by the CRT, it's owned by the Ashby Canal Association. Now it was restored in 2010, but at the moment we can't navigate it. And the reason it's closed is because of badgers. The badgers have made themselves at home down here, and the council don't want them to be disturbed, so no one's allowed down here at the moment. The guys at the association gave me permission to come down by foot. That over there is the glorious Snarestone pumping station built in the 1890s by Hinckley Urban District Council for fresh water supply. Part of the old pump is actually at Snarestone Yard. So we've shot for quite a long time. That is a lot of weed. Problem when no boats come along like now, that happens. Anyway, I think there's no towpath through here. As you can see, this is the end of the road, so to speak, for the navigable Ashby Canal for now. Good news is, while we're staying here, the contractor who's going to be building this next section of the canal for the association did actually come along and survey the route and priced everything up. So it shouldn't be too long now before work begins towards Measham. And yeah, nothing's changed along here since I've been 3 years, since 2021. Almost exactly 3 years actually. But yeah, nothing's changed, fortunately. But once they do get the permission and the builder starts, it will be done very, very quickly. So this is the dry bed of the canal. That something just hit me in the back of the head. Just slightly, you know, nothing too heavy, but something heavy enough that it wouldn't get blown by this wind. Look behind me, nothing there. I can't hear though, that's the trouble. Got my headphones in, so that was a very quickly. Almost like someone just gave you a light tap. Not saying it is, it could be a ghost. You never know. Old Davy died while working on this section of the canal. Yeah, don't exactly believe in paranormal, but some things can't be explained. So that is where the aqueduct's going. This is what the new aqueduct will hopefully look like. The Ashby Canal Association do a thing where you can buy a brick and you pay for the brick, you have your name inscripted on it, and it will be part of the actual aqueduct. Not really recognisable as a canal, but this is where it would be. Now this is the location of where Islet Wharf would have been, not much left now. This opened around the beginning of the canal, and there would have been a little tramway that went to the bow pits here, which are just little coal mining pits, not anything very deep. Coal would have been brought from the mines down to Islet Wharf and loaded onto the boats headed for London or Birmingham. Unfortunately, nothing virtually remains of this wharf now. So is this what remains of Islet Wharf? I was actually now on the new line of the Ashby Canal, as it's got to be rerouted here, and this is what the red line is. The original line is the green line.
So the canal went down there, and it is a public footpath, but I don't know where I went the wrong way, I guess. This is totally the wrong way. I need to somehow get over to the actual footpath. It's the new route of the canal. I guess this has been, footpath's been changed then. Yeah, so the new route will go over here. But the old route, apparently that's where the footpath was, but maybe they moved the footpath. Good timing. Yes, it's down there. Okay, so now we cut across back onto the old canal. And this is probably its hedgerow, I reckon. That's why it's so big and overgrown. Ancient, massive hedgerow. This would have been the towpath, the canal would have been here. We're still in the old canal, guys. This used to be canal. You can see how this is on a bit of an embankment here, see? So this would have been on the towpath side, hedgerow. This is a new hedgerow. Definite embankment. This is going to Measham now, so.
I then got to this little lane, which would have not been the canal. The canal would have been the other side of this green fence in the grounds of the school. But that's partly right, it will not be rebuilt through here. It has to be rerouted. There's just too many obstacles through this section.
That gives you a hint of where it was before. There you go. Navigation Street. This is exactly where the canal would have been, through here. This is definitely the old canal there, as you can see. It's an old wharf building. We're going underneath this street here.
So I'm now at Measham High Street, and this is actually the original canal bridge here. Well, it would have been modernised. It actually still remains there, it's just been covered up. I believe it probably is hollow in there. But this is where a lovely old wharf would have been as well, as you can see by this old photo.
See that arch bridge there? It's likely boats would have backed into there and had their goods winched up to the top floors. Yeah, this is definitely the canal. Still got both hedgerows and the indentation. As you can tell, the canal can no longer come through here. This is just the old canal. It joins up to the new route in a minute. No route for the canal no more for these houses. So they've taken a new route. I've grown this is just ridiculous. Looking so far I can't backtrack. Can't my legs. No. You have no idea how much my legs are stinging. I knew I should have put jeans on. Right, all fun. Absolutely fun. Went the wrong way. And now I'm onto the new route, which I believe is an old railway track embankment. And they're going to put the canal on it.
I'm now on what would have once been the Ashby and Nuneaton Railway, which was built by the people who actually owned the Ashby Canal from 1845. London, Midland and Scotland Railways. They didn't build this railway until the 1870s, but what's ironic now is the canal will come along this route, making the restoration through Moira pretty easy because they've got this railway embankment.
That's quite an impressive bridge. Wow. Guys, I know I'm supposed to be retracing the canal, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes, you know, the footpath is gone. They were only ever permissive footpaths to begin with anyway, they weren't proper public footpaths, so once the canals were gone, they were gone. So it's over there, the canal somewhere. Through there. You can't follow it fully. It's probably over near where those houses are, one of those hedgerows, probably. But yeah, sadly you can't follow it all the way. So, but yeah, it's nice seeing this old railway line though. And it's not quite a canal, but the things that killed the canals. Now look at it, it's dead as well. Anyway, Hopefully the canal will be running through it one day. Wouldn't that be ironic?
And then actually found a canal mile marker on the railway, and there's a public footpath that took me off here and back towards the canal.
The canal went across this top bit here, and the next part we go on should actually be the old bed.
So we've made it to Oak Fork now, and we can actually get back on the line of the old canal. And here's a lovely photo from 1957 of what the canal would have looked like through Oak Fork.
Now this is supposedly the old canal bed. It's so hard to tell. It makes sense though. Hedgerow here, dip in the land. It's all flat. It's definitely the old canal here. Another lovely section. So now I would have carried on down there, but I can't walk that way. Take a diversion up here. Now I would have run along that hedgerow down there. And a massive contour around the hill. Whereas the railway goes right through, that's the way I'll be taken back. This is a lot quicker. Right next to the old canal now. So annoying that we can't walk along there. As you can definitely see it, the hedgerow there is flat, it's been infilled. That hedgerow over there is likely the canal as it curved around. What do you know? A mile marker, look at that. 27.3. Mile 27, 3 more to go. Yeah, look. This is where we are, see what I mean? Massive contour around the land, whereas the railway, which is here, cuts through. That's where I'll be taking it back, it's a lot straighter. We're here, we're going to come around here, but we have to go on this road here, I think, because we can't go on that anymore. It's private land. Go on that road, and then we will get to the navigable isolated section. That down there is the canal, that hedgerow. Private land. As you see, that first one there is where we walked, and then as you see it comes around like that. You see the canal loop around the landscape.
There would have been a bridge here where the canal would have gone underneath, of course. Everything's been filled in, the bridge has been knocked down. But if we walk just further around here, we can actually get to the isolated navigable section of canal.
Look at that, we did it. It looks like it's very low though, the level. But we made it to the isolated section.
This section was restored and reopened from 1999 to 2005, which is about 1.5 miles. So I think it's time I told you how the Ashby Canal ended up in such a state. Now, around the end of the 18th century, there was an increased need for good transport to exploit the coalfields around Ashby Moles and Moira. So in 1781, a proposal was put forth for a canal to be built from Marston Junction on the Coventry Canal to the River Trent navigation at Burton-upon-Trent by Robert Whitworth. A whole lot of nothing happened for about 13 years, until finally an Act of the Parliament was acquired. But in 1797, the cost of construction was vastly underestimated, and so the expensive last bit of the canal from Ashby Moles to Burton would be dropped, as that involved lots of locks. But the main bit to the collieries would not have any locks at all, and so lots of tramways were built to bring the coal to the canal. And the canal was finally opened in 1804, and so did the magnificent Moira furnace, built by the Earl of Moira to take advantage of the abundance of iron and coal coming in from the tramways. It was fueled by coke and a steam engine blown furnace for the smelting of iron ore into cast iron goods. It didn't run very well, as it had continuous problems put down to bad design, as it was a very primitive version of a blast furnace. The chimney showed signs of overheating, and in 1811 it was pretty much disused, the final blast still being in there today. By the 1970s though, it was derelict, affected by mining subsidence. More on that later. The structure was a Scheduled H monument, so in the 80s it was restored as a museum and country park. The canal had its best year in 1862 at 138,117 tonnes, but by 1893, that was just 33,000, as Midland Railway had bought the canal in 1845, as they were going to build a railway from Burton upon Trent to Atherstone, and they agreed to maintain the canal too. The railway wasn't actually built though until 30 years later. By the early 1900s, the canal began to suffer with more and more subsidence, but in 1943 the canal actually moved 43,733 tonnes, so it was still quite profitable by the time most canals were being closed in the 40s due to nationalisation. So what actually happened to this canal? The London, Midlands and Scotland Railways knew that the upper canal was on its last legs really, and tried to sell it to the Coventry Canal, but they refused because they wanted the railway company to pay for the repairs first, but the railway refused, knowing it would be way too expensive. So soon after, the section from Moira to Dynesthrup was closed because the cause of all this subsidence was the very reason the canal was there in the first place: mining. So when that section was abandoned, the Moira Coal Company were allowed to mine directly under the canal. The canal effectively destroyed itself. Then, in 1966, Dynesthrup to Snarestone was closed too, due to more subsidence. This led to the formation of the Ashby Canal Association to ensure no more was closed. And there's even a lock here, as you can see. Remember, this canal was level its entire length, but you can just see the effects of subsidence here. They've had to even put a massive lock in.
This is a bit I've never actually walked before. The last little bit down to Conkers. Can't actually see much of the canal.
As we walk down this beautiful stretch of restored Ashby Canal, we actually reach the Bath Yard Basin, a massive basin. I'm sure this will be a grand, lovely basin once canal boats can actually reach here again. And I'm not sure if this is where the canal will end. It might, but it does obviously go on for a little bit further, but it's not clear whether that will be restored, or this might be the new terminus of the canal permanently. But judging by the map and the fact that there's a red line that shows the diversion of the canal, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to go the whole 9 yards and go all the way to Overseal.
It's the railway I'll be walking back on. There's still a little bit more to the canal to see though. Oh, a little tiny bit. 8.5 miles now, guys. I just crossed into South Derbyshire. The very, very last section of the Ashby Canal. I don't think it'll be restored to here, but who knows. It looks less weedy than it does on the ice layer section. This bit's lovely. Looks navigable.
Now if we switch over to satellite imagery, we can see that there was 2 arms at the end. One went a little bit further to the railway, and this is probably where there's a transshipment between the railway and the canal, but also all these pools and things around here I believe are old mines and quarries, because this is the Ashby Wolds, and this is where most of the mining and tramways would have been.
I never thought I'd see the day I'd see that sign. 30 of 0. The official end of the Ashby Canal. This is all it got to. On its way to Burton upon Trent. Financial difficulties stopped it here. And it's lovely to actually see the very end of it still in water. Well, I guess this bit is technically, because there's 2 little arms. This would be absolutely gorgeous mooring, wouldn't it? I mean, look at it. It's bloody lovely. Well worth the walk.
I then made my way back along the Ashby and Nuneaton Joint Railway, which took me back most of the way to Snarestone, and it was a big shortcut of course because it's a railway, but I eventually got back to the canal, and after all that it's about a 15-mile walk, so be prepared if you want to do this walk. I want to thank everyone very much for watching, and if you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe because there's going to be lots more of these to come. I already have filmed another video and I have several more planned on the way. This one is a bit different because it was never actually supposed to be on this channel, because at that point I wasn't even going to do this channel and this was just going to be on the main channel. So things will be a little bit more professional in the videos to come, and there'll probably be a little bit more of me in it.